60, where we're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. My name is Craig Way. Thanks so much for joining us. Jeff Howell is in or about to be in the air to fly back. He's flying back this morning from Kansas City, so he'll be out today, but he'll be back with us tomorrow. And our producer, Cameron Parker, is here, and he had a most extremely busy weekend. A lot of golf. I just texted you at one point to see what was going on, and there you were, hanging out at Dell Match Play. You had a good time out there?
Yeah, last one. Very sad to see it leave.
Yeah.
Me and Aaron Hogan were talking about it before the show, but it was a great week, and Austin Country Club put on an excellent show, as they usually do.
Yeah, they did a wonderful job from what everybody has told me, and you know, and you hope that because of the way that event was run during its run here, you know, even though it doesn't necessarily have to be a match play event, you'd love to see the PGA Tour return to Austin, be a great market and a great place for it. But you know how those things go with the schedule. So we'll find out. We'll see where that is. And that was one part of the weekend. Obviously, the NCAA tournament was a big part of the weekend. I did not check on this, but I feel pretty safe and secure in saying that I'm sure out of the more than, I think, 30 million brackets submitted across the country, those are just the ones that are publicized, those. You know, more than that, probably, that not a single bracket has a pairing of Florida Atlantic against San Diego State on one side of the Final Four and Miami against UConn on the other side of the Final Four. I feel pretty confident in saying that nobody had that in their bracket. And you think of all the millions and millions of brackets done, but I don't think anybody picked that one.
You know, it's a weird year when a lot of people are winning their bracket pools by not having a single Final Four pick. I won mine, and I didn't have a single. I had Kansas State and Texas, and they both fell down yesterday.
One game shy of reaching the Final Four. Would have been something if those two had. I was talking with Joni James Lehman of the Big 12 Conference, because the Big 12 was the host of that particular region. You know, normally you'll see it if it's like where the NCAA tournament is. It's either a host institution or a host conference, like in Des Moines, first and second round. The host was Drake University, but in Kansas City, it was the Big 12 Conference that was the host, supplying a lot of the manpower and the essentials and things like that. And that's what goes into the hosting part of it. And she and I were talking, and she said she was really hoping, this was before the game, so she was really hoping that he would have had half of the Final Four field be from the Big 12 Conference, but none from the Big 12 in there. So anyway, somebody on the Specs text line, and so, it's, let's see. Yeah, there are apparently 4 brackets. So, and then somebody else said, counting all of the automated brackets, 37 total. So that's in the over 30 million brackets, 37 total. So congratulations. Somebody else had said on B&E this morning at 6 had that particular bracket as well. But I've seen that, 37 out of 35 million brackets on ESPN. And so, hey, congratulations to those who did that. You know, the cynic in you wants to say that had to be like by random. You know, did they have their dog, you know, point to which one, or did they have their 2-year-old child go ahead and do it? If somebody had that much college basketball acumen, I salute you. Way to go. So there you go. Somebody said, Cam, I was at the softball game, so not watching on television. Some thought the cat was back on as analyst. Do you know? Well, Cam wasn't doing the softball games. I know he had done them the week before. He normally doesn't do it. Cameron was filling in for Andrew Haynes the week prior, but Andrew was back on the call. I don't know.
Cat for LHN, I'm guessing?
Yeah. I mean, she just gave birth to a child there. But I'll tell you what, we'll get the answer on that. And big weekend for Longhorn softball in sweeping out Texas Tech as well as Longhorn baseball. I do agree with Jim from Lago Vista. All in all, it has been a great tournament. Going into the tournament, everybody said this is going to be a great tournament. It's going to be highly unpredictable. That's exactly how it turned out to be. How it's turned out to this point to be was wildly unpredictable. I guess would be you'd be pretty safe in saying it is wildly unpredictable. And toward that end, we'll jump right in with some audio from this. It was. By the way, there was a couple other questions. Somebody had asked me. Chan had said, "How long do Marcus, Timmy, CB, and Rice get to clean out their locker and no longer have access to the basketball locker room?" I think they take as long as they want. There's no rush on any of that sort of thing. I don't think there's going to be any issue on that. Saw all those guys last night. Obviously, I was on the flight back with them, and I'll get to some more about that. Jeff, you said, who is Harry Carey Light? Who is that? That's Tom Barfield. He did play-by-play for Baylor baseball for 15 years. So we brought Tom in to do some games when we had conflicts, when Roger couldn't be there and I couldn't be there. And he's been around college baseball a long, long time. He got pretty excited. I would too, on a walk-off homer. We'll hear that call. So we'll do that. Somebody said, yes, Cat was on LHN. I saw and heard her on TV. That's outstanding. So there we go. Anyway, and somebody else said, hey, I know Cam filled in for Andrew, did a super job. That's why I directed the softball question to him. Yeah. That's cool. Yes. On LHN. Cam was out at golf, this weekend, but Andrew Haynes was back on the call. Our man up in Belton says, are Dessou and Cunningham able to come back for one more season? Brock Cunningham has already said he is coming back. He's in a graduate advertising program, and counting a redshirt year he took right on the front end of his collegiate career. That was the NIT championship season of 2019. And then everybody got that COVID year of eligibility. So it'll be a 6-year run for Brock. But he has used his time wisely, already graduated with a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree, and is in the master's program working in advertising right now and loves it. So, yes, he's going to come back. So we'll look forward to that. And Dylan Dessou has not made his decision yet. He does have a year of eligibility if he chooses to use it. Has not yet made. He said he would sit down with his family and would talk about it. So we'll see. Dave, the displaced Sooner, says, hey, much watch TV next week in UT softball against the Sooners in Norman. Correction, not in Norman. Not in Norman. They're playing it at the Hall of Fame Stadium in Oklahoma City. Andrew Haynes told me that last night. How about that? So they're playing that, I guess, at Don Porter ASA Hall of Fame Stadium. Anyway, they're playing at the Softball Hall of Fame complex next weekend, which is interesting. So and somebody else said, one of the funnest weekends in a long time on the 40, from the baseball softball tailgate to start Saturday morning, watching softball and baseball take down Tech. Somebody text me in and let me know how the block party was. If you were at the block party there on Comal Street, if you took part in that between baseball and softball, where they had the Comal Street blocked off there, and it made it easier to do because they're doing work. And I've had a lot of people ask me this about that construction that's going on past McCombs Field. That's graduate student housing that's being constructed there. So graduate student housing there, they're astride Comal Street, and that's what that is. So they had construction barriers up, so they had a block party. So if you were there, good for you. Ice Cream Man says, so you're saying Brock's on the Perry Ellis plan? He's on the Jordan Shipley plan, So anyway, and listen to the radio broadcast in real time. It sounded like you agreed that we got hosed on the Brock call, is what you're saying. Somebody said they didn't block the street. they had the construction barriers up the other day for the Tuesday night game, so I guess they removed that there for the block party, and somebody else said it was a good time. Had a good time on it. So I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear the block party went off very, very well. It was on the lawn by the tennis courts. Good. I'm hoping they enjoyed all of that. With regard to the Brock Cunningham call, if you look at the replays and you look at the still shots, it's hard to envision it being called the way it ultimately was called, with Cunningham going up. And like I said, it looked like it was – in fact, the way that it was originally called, and I don't know, and I've heard people say they changed the call, and I don't think that's quite the proper phraseology. It was two calls. Now, I will say the call that was made against Norchad Omier was the arm went up from might have been Patrick Adams, who his arm went up on that. But it was Brent Hampton who called Brock Cunningham for undercutting Omier. And it was a big moment, no doubt about it. Omier would have fouled out of the ball game. They would have walked the other way. It was a loose ball foul. Cunningham would have had 2 free throws to try to put the Longhorns up because it was 79-all with a minute to go in the game. Now, Rodney Terry and the players will tell you that one specific call did not lose them the game. They point to a lot of things that happen, especially with a lot of downhill straight-line drives that Miami had down the stretch to come back. There were a ton of foul calls, obviously, and the Longhorns missed some key shots and had some turnovers. All of it added up to it. Were they banged up? Yes, they were. They didn't have Dylan DeSue. Yes. Marcus Carr got that Charlie horse right in the quad, and that didn't hurt. And Sir Jabari Rice was hobbled. I saw him limping off the floor when he came off at one point as that knee was bothering him. Somebody said it was a dirty play by Cunningham. You could not be more incorrect. It was a dirty play. He's boxing out. That's not a dirty play when you're boxing out to get a rebound. He doesn't see Omier coming over the back. Now, you can make the argument one way or the other where there's a foul. Dirty play? No. Absolutely 100% not dirty play. Again, there were 2 different calls. One that said the foul was Omier, and one that said that it was backing into him. So, yeah, not a dirty play. Going to definitely disagree with you. Somebody said, was that Craig that the Miami player crashed into the press table and spilled the drink and computer? I noticed Marcus came over and dapped up whoever it happened to. Yeah, that was me. That's what I meant at the start, and I said, raise your hand if you'd if anybody else got knocked on their butt by a guy named Wooga. Was Wooga Poplar. Came over, and I could see it happening in front of me. It's almost like, when sometimes, and this is not compared to having a car wreck, because trust me, I've been in car wrecks. But it's one of those deals where you start to see it happen in slow motion. You could see him coming, and he's going to crash the table full on coming to get the ball. It's a risk you take when it happened. I've had it happen to me a few times in the past. I can remember for sure when I was the analyst, when Bill Schoening was doing play-by-play. I think it was our first year together, or second year, 92, 93, or 93, 94. They're playing Houston, and there was a guard for the Cougars named Lloyd Wiles. I always remember this, and came right over the table and knocked me pins over, the whole thing. And that one hurt. It actually kind of bruised my hip a little bit. There was a game at UCLA in 99, a women's game. And Edwina Brown, in the 99-2000 season, who was the National Player of the Year that year for Texas, came racing over the table, landed right in my lap when that happened. So it's happened. But Poplar came over to try to save the ball, crashes into the table. I get knocked, it's more heels over head, not head over heels, because I was going backward. And I didn't even really have that much water in the cup. I was down pretty low, but what was left spilled everywhere. And everybody kind of jumped. Cedric Golden, the Austin American Statesman, was helping me up. Eddie Horn was kind of trying to help me up. David Garrett, our producer, our engineer, was mopping up the water with the scarf he had with him, and then there were other things. So there were a lot of people that helped out, and I appreciated that. But I was okay, and Marcus Carr did come over, and he was laughing and gave me a fist bump there for that. So that was happening right in the time that it was at. Somebody said, it was a dirty play. He's moving backwards. You don't box out like that. He was boxing out. It was not a dirty play. You're flat dead wrong. You're wrong. That's not a dirty play. A dirty play would be shoving somebody, tripping somebody. It's not a dirty play. If you back into somebody, that's not a dirty play. It might be a foul. It's not a dirty play, though. So anyway, like I said, it was called, if it was such a dirty play, it would have been called both a foul on one side and a foul on the other side. So, and it was a difference on the two fouls, and Brent Hampton's call was the one that obviously they stuck with on the floor. So, but it's not a dirty play. So anyway, that's how it is. And folks will have a different take on it, and that's fine. When Brock is going backwards, he's not aware that the guy is there behind him. He's backpedaling there to get himself set to get a rebound. And then Omier comes over the top of him. So you judge it how you want to judge it. But one thing it's not a dirty play.
That's how coaches teach you how to box out.
Yeah. Come on, people. It's not a dirty play. Was it? Can you call it a foul? Yep, you can. Dirty? No. So, anyway, somebody else said Cunningham's just boxing out like every other player does. So, anyway, so that's the deal. Somebody said, did you hold the call through the fall, or could the radio audience tell you were knocked over? Said Gus in the Bronx. The answer is yes and yes. I kept going. The headset was knocked a bit askew. I think what came through, I wasn't sent that particular moment as a highlight because it wasn't really a highlight. But I think it sounded like you'd heard the headset go askew and it was like that. Remember the old Eddie Murphy stand-up act when he talks about when you had the elderly aunt, he says, who falls down the steps and it takes him forever to fall down the steps. Oh, Lord God, Jesus, help me, please. My shoe. That's what it was like. When it was just boom, plowing, you heard this. But I kept on talking. It stayed with it and got the headset back properly affixed and went on from there. So, yeah. That's somebody else. A dirty play texter has never played basketball. Somebody else. Nothing dirty about what Brock did at all. That guy is an idiot. He had a body on him. The guy jumps. Brock fell back. Fundamental box out. So somebody else. I saw a still shot of the Brock play. It's not a dirty play. Whoever's saying it is smoking that devil's lettuce. I don't necessarily mean say that person is on anything, or they're just incorrect. It's not correct to say it's a dirty play. It's not a dirty play. So anyway, that's and somebody said the foul called on the clean block. I think they were talking about the one Tyrese Hunter. So there's always going to be a lot of conversation about officiating, especially at that level of the tournament, a high level of the tournament. Somebody said two different calls on the same play. What's the deciding factor? It's a big call, no doubt. Oh, female listener number 17 remembers it was Aunt Bunny who fell down there. My shoe. Yeah, that one. I was in college when that album came out. Here's some of the way it went down in terms of the conversations about this, and it was, as I mentioned, a difficult time. But first of all, here's Brock Cunningham talking about how he and his teammates let things get away from him down the stretch of the basketball game.
It's going to be really hard because
I'll tell you what. Let's
Borderline gave it
reconfigure.
away. That's a
it.
quality team with some elite players, but we had the game in our hands and it slipped out. I've been here 5 years, and to see where the program came from when I stepped on campus in 2018 to where it is now is a huge sense of pride. But there's only one team happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, Miami was at, and I know it wasn't lost on a lot of people to see Brock Cunningham standing there down along the baseline and just watching the celebration. He was actually inside the security ropes that you have there to keep fans from rushing the court and things like that. He was inside of it, but he was just standing there down at the end of the floor watching what was going on. Timmy Allen with thoughts after the game about how much his teammates have meant to him and how much his coaches meant to him. First of all, talking about his teammates and how important they have been to him throughout all of this.
As far as these guys, they're just so fun to be around, and knowing that it's coming to the end, and all these guys like Christian, Timmy, Jabari, all these guys just taught me so much, and it just comes to the end, and it hurts, but life goes on, and I could be more proud of this team no matter how far we came. Even if we would have lost first round, I could be more proud of this team and everything we've accomplished with all the adversity we faced.
And that's my bad. It was actually Sir Jabari Rice who said that, because he mentioned Timmy and the other guys. Now this is Timmy talking about how much being around Rodney Terry has meant to the program and to himself.
I just want to tell you how much I love RT. I'm hurt because we didn't win for RT. And we didn't win for us, but, for RT, he's family. He was family before Beard got out of here. He was family when I got here, and he's done an outstanding job. And his love that he's shown us has taken us further than the X's and O's. So I think that's something that's really important.
Yeah, Timmy Allen with some retrospective there. And then a couple of things from the post-game news conference. One, the opening statement from Rodney Terry talking about the end of the ride for his team.
I'd like to just start by saying I'm just so proud of this group that I got a chance and was blessed to work with this year. These guys here, more than any group I've worked with in 32 years of coaching, have really embodied, in terms of staying the course and being a team. These guys were incredible teammates all year. They were so unselfish as a team, and they gave us everything they had. They really did. Every day they came in with a smile on their face, ready to go to work. We learned a lot of tough lessons through some losses and through wins. But, man, I can't say enough how proud I am of this group and what they've been able to do this season. They accomplished a lot. We had guys that came back and were on a mission to accomplish some great things, and we're right on the brink of being right where we wanted to be to close out this season. We'll give Miami a lot of credit. They continued to play, and they played well down the stretch, and they made some plays down the stretch to win the ball game.
That was at the start of the press conference, and this is probably some sound you have heard. It tells you not only how Rodney Terry felt about his team and about these guys, but also about what everything this group went through together. When you think back to December and what was said back in December, and the suspension of Chris Beard and ultimately his firing in January, and how this team had to pull it together. The day the announcement came down that he was suspended, but that they were playing Rice there on that Monday game, and just seeing it shoot around, the looks on the faces of those guys, and some of them in tears and stunned and not sure where it was going to go. And since then, we've heard the veterans like Marcus Carr and Timmy Allen and Jabari Rice and Christian Bishop and Brock Cunningham saying that they were not going to let it ruin, crash, destroy, or define their season, that they were going to go through it. And Rodney had praised them all along about it. So with everything they went through and the ride they had down the stretch to finish second place in the Big 12 Conference, to beat Kansas not once but twice in 1 week decisively, both times, winning a Big 12 Conference tournament championship, winning the 2 games in Des Moines, winning the Sweet 16 game, and then coming within a minute of going to the Final Four, you can understand the emotion when it's all said and done, the conclusion that was in Rodney Terry's voice when he was asked how badly does he want to coach this basketball team going forward.
I haven't really had a whole lot of time to give a lot of thought to that. To be honest, I've been so wrapped up and invested in my team. I mean, again, I love these guys, and not only will I just love these guys for the time I got a chance to coach them, I'm gonna love them for the rest of their lives. I'll be at their weddings. I'll be when they, talking to those guys when they have their firstborn, and it was all about this team, man. And I enjoyed every single day of this journey with this group, and I'm gonna really miss. I really miss working with this group. So it was never about me. It was always about these guys. And I love these guys.
Yeah, that was the emotion that he felt. Afterwards, about a half an hour later, and was being interviewed by a group of reporters as well out in the hallway. And safe to say probably that RT had probably had a chance to take more of a deep breath coming out of that press conference and being more composed afterwards. Still in all, was talking about the difficulty of what it's going to be like not to see these guys on an everyday basis and to go through the things that they've been through for the past several months together.
It's going to be really hard because in 2 years, those guys made a commitment to come back when they didn't have to come back. And, they wanted to try to do something that hadn't been done at this university. And I'm just really proud and happy for them in terms of the kind of year that they got a chance to have this year in terms of going deep into March. And, last year we lost in the second round and got a chance to get to this second weekend with the hope of trying to get to a Final Four. And I'm just, again, so proud of what they were able to do. And they left their footprints on this program. And, people will be talking about these guys for years to come.
Yeah. And then I will tell you that on the flight home, Roddy was doing what he has done all season long, and that is he's made his way up and down the aisle and thanked people for being there and being a part of it. Not only his players, but the support staff, everybody who was on that plane, and he was, like he always is, very affable about it, and consoling where he needed to be and congratulating where he chose to be as well. And then one more bit, and this is from Sir Jabari Rice. And again, this speaks to how these guys have felt about one another and how this, because without this type of thing, there's no way they could have overcome what they did, dealt with what they had to deal with, and make the run that they had to make. And Jabari had some thoughts on it.
I love these guys. Like, this is my favorite team. I couldn't have asked for nobody else to be here. From the younger guys, Dylan, Terrio, those are two of my favorite guys. To Tyrese, my brother, to Marcus, Timmy. The things that we've been through, CB, Dylan, I don't want to leave. I just didn't want to leave right now. I just love this program. Winning feels good. So, I mean, when you're winning and you're bonding like as much as we did, it's just something that you don't want to end. But it happened to end tonight, and that's all I can say. The part that I'm gonna miss the most is the guys. Basketball is easy, that's cake, but just building a bond with different people, that's something you won't get all the time.
Basketball is as easy as cake, but building that relationship with those guys, the bond with those guys, is something you don't get all the time. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. No matter what our station or occupation is in life, we talk about relationships being so important. And it happens in team sports as well, as we know. All right, so there's some basketball. So I'm going to get to a lot of your comments on the Specs text line at 337-3776. Feel free to text in if you have a difference of opinion on the fouls and this and that. And like I said, I understand it being called a foul on Brock Cunningham. It was a bang-bang play on that, and one official saw it as a foul on Norchad Omier, which would have been his fifth. The other saw it as a foul on Brock Cunningham. I get that. Where I would obviously take issue if somebody said it was a dirty play. My brother texted in to me and said, if Brock had only taken one step back with Ormier on his back, then Omier would have received the foul because he definitely went over his back. They will call it every time now if you take more than a step back on a box-out play. Agree with all that. And then he goes on and says, that wasn't a dirty play because of the intention. He was trying to get out from under him. He said, your texter is calling it that way because NBA players do use that move intentionally to jack with people. So sometimes you'll see it called dirty because of the usual hard-nosed or dirty players in the NBA used it more than once, like Dennis Rodman used to do a lot. Yeah, I agree with that. But in the moment of him trying to make a play to get to the rebound, it wasn't a dirty play. But I do get why it was called a foul on that. And then other people weighing in and saying it's not dirty. It's not dirty. The Colonel, Craig Flowers, is finally you'll get a sarcastic photo from the coach of a cart on the cart path. What you won't see is the cart in front of the picture on the grass, talking about the block party on all of that. So anyway, somebody said, who makes the final decision? Well, you saw that they came together, the three of them. And interestingly enough, the crew chief in that moment is the one who made the call against Omier. But they went with Brent Hampton's call. Usually when the officials get together, they'll say, I had this. And then one may ask the other, are you sure you feel convicted about it? And if he says yes, then they'll go ahead and go with it. So that's why that is. So anyway, so there you go. All right. Coming up, I will get to more of your text. I promise on that. Also, we would be doing the Longhorn baseball team a disservice if we didn't have the recap of that. How about them not only beating Texas Tech, but sweeping them? All three games, sweeping the formerly 14th ranked Red Raiders of Texas Tech. Longhorns now have won 14 in a row. They're 18-7 on top of the Big 12 conference standings. We'll recap that. We do have Inconceivable coming up this hour. And we'll get to plenty of your texts as well, and recap the weekend. Get kind of the Dell match play recap from Cam as well. Also, Cam will have a Flex 30 update for us coming up next hour. We have our Longhorn Notebook. That's up next when we continue with Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. Was it a foul? Was it a foul on Brock? Was it a foul on Omier? No matter how you felt about it, if you had that great home entertainment setup that you can get from AV Consultations, you'd be able to see it in that clear HD vision. Maybe you've had your eye and your heart set on a brand new, say, 75-inch HD TV. Well, Tom McKay has pretty much every one of the major lines of TVs in stock. And if it's a specific thing you want that they don't have, they can lay their hands on it as well. Plus, they work within your budget and your vision for what you want for, say, your den, your man cave, family room, living room, patio, bedroom, wherever it might be. Tom McKay and his staff can work with you to get you set up the way you want. Check them out on the web at avconsultations.com. Then give Tom and his staff a call at 512-255-8678. Let Tom McKay and Audiovisual Consultations help you realize the home entertainment system of your dreams.
Gilmet 3 for 9 in the series against Red Raiders. 2-0, the pitch. Swung on and driven deep to left. This one's going. This one's going. This one is gone. Walk it off. Tex, get off this. Garrett Gilmet with a walk-off home run that may still be in flight. Oh my goodness gracious. What a ball by Gilmet. And Texas sweeps the Red Raiders, and they won their 14th in a row on a walk-off home run by Garrett Gilmet, and it was a majestic shot over the left field wall. Oh, goodness gracious.
Here was the walk-off home run by Garrett Gilmet. Texas sweeping Texas Tech. Beat them in back-to-back walk-offs. A wild pitch on Saturday. And then yesterday, Texas had an 8-3 lead. Tech scored 4 in the 8th, 1 in the 9th to tie it, and then in the bottom of the 9th with the walk-off home run. So Texas with the win, which brings us to our Longhorn Notebook for this hour. And that includes the conversation that Ty Harrington, who was working the broadcast yesterday on AM 1260, had after the game. Ty and David Pierce having a laugh or two down on the field in between the conversation on the post-game interview.
Longhorn Notebook.
I see a grin on your face now. All right, sweep. The last 6 outs in conference Sunday game is always tough. Wait a minute, I got to back up. Congratulations on winning. Congratulations on your second consecutive walk-off. Congratulations on 14 in a row. And so, congratulations.
Man, that's a lot of congratulations. I appreciate that. It's about our team. They just finding ways to win games. Well, again, we weren't that good in the bullpen, but we did enough. And just keep competing the way we're competing. It was a great team win. Huge for Garrett to get a 2-0 right there and drive the baseball.
Let's start with the pitching, because we're going to end with the offensive side of it. Let's start with the pitching today with Hurley going out. In your assessment of your pitchers on the mound today.
Well, Zeke, he was effectively wild and just, kind of pitching off the plate and getting some outs and a little behind and then attacking. But his stuff just does so much. And so I don't think he gave up a hit until the 4th, but just commanding the baseball. But I just like the way our guys just continue to fight. I mean, out of the pen, it was a little bit of a struggle, but we had to piece it together, and Boogie was outstanding at the end.
Let's go to the offense, because obviously the homers today, the long ball for you guys were huge. You could have drawn a little circle around Peyton Powell's 3 balls that he hit today, and he, as you know, better than anybody, is seeing the baseball about as good as any.
Yeah, that was impressive. I thought our work this morning was outstanding. Our batting practice was staying in the middle of the field, working on the inner third of the baseball, and, Peyton sees it well. Put some really good swings on it, and you're right. He hit 2 out, and another one, their kid Hester makes a great play. So I like where he is. I like where our offense is. Just competing and grinding out at bats. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, you got 2 freshmen that come up with homers today as well.
Yeah, Ryland's been good in that 9-0. That's when we stuck with him today. He's seeing the ball well. Jake's really good adjustments in his approach this morning, and it paid off for us.
Garrett Gilmet, he's got to feel pretty good. And obviously, he was standing here to hit a walk-off home run on a series sweep, but for the first time in an orange and white uniform. It's got to be a special moment for him.
Yeah, we're so fortunate to have him and Charlie from USC and come in and be a part of our culture, part of this team. And, the kid's a grinder. He really is, and he works his tail off behind the plate. And for him to have that success, I'm just really proud of him. Sometimes you got to say it only takes one swing, and he hit into 2 ground ball double plays today, but big time at the end. That's really a nice job of him sticking with his at-bats.
You said something yesterday when we were walking off the field after we turned off the microphone about Man, I just love the way these guys are competing. They are embracing the idea of competing, and because of it, they're finding ways to win. Today's another example of it.
Yeah, I mean, we have JT on his own, lays down a pull drag, and then steals a bag and scores. We've got defense playing really well, communicating well, making the routine plays. And then offensively, you know, you can see our patience. We're not chasing a lot. We're making adjustments to different types of pitchers. Guys that want us to chase the breaking ball down did a nice job of getting it elevated and driving some baseballs. And just a tremendous weekend. Great fan base this weekend. Just so excited for our team to end this homestand on a 14-game winning streak, and I would say that's a pretty good homestand, wouldn't you?
I would concur. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I can tell you, I'm going to add that one up and tell you a big yes on that. And, Coach, congratulations on a sweep. You're 3-0 in the conference. You got to say something about it. Now, Tuesday we're playing who?
I don't know. I think what are they called? The Aggies or something? Yeah, it's always a big game. You know, you'd almost rather play them in between non-conference, but you start conference, and, you know, both teams are in the same position, but we go over there to be crazy Tuesday night.
It'll be fun. As always, when Texas and A&M get together, it's always special. Congratulations. Catch your breath. Get ready for Tuesday, and go get them.
Thanks, Ty. I appreciate you.
Yeah, there was a conversation after the game, and, big moment, big game, big series. Over the weekend, because let's be honest, in that 14-game homestand, the first 11 games, when you talk about the teams that they were playing, it was like, okay, these are teams that, quite frankly, Texas should beat, that were going to be down in the RPI, playing Manhattan and New Orleans and midweek teams like Incarnate Word, doing that thing, Sam Houston, so Mercer. All of that was part of that 14-game homestand. And David Pierce didn't pull any punches, saying those were games that we should win. And it's weird to say we should be 11-0 after the first 11 games of a 14-game homestand, but they were. Then comes in a team that had just taken 2 out of 3 from a really good Oklahoma State ball club that was sitting on top of the Big 12 Conference standings, and the Longhorns wind up winning all 3 games. So they're in first place today in the conference standings. I'll tell you what else it does, too. You talk about getting an RPI boost, which is still a major tool of the baseball NCAA Tournament Selection Committee. Texas, going into the homestand, had an RPI in the 200s. And right now they're at 22. That's what we're doing. And the wins over Texas Tech really obviously gave it a you might say a turbocharged boost with those 3 wins. Now they go on the road. Starting tomorrow night with Texas A&M, it'll be an angry group of Aggies. Of course, they get fired up to play Texas. It doesn't matter what the records are and all that kind of stuff. But they come off being swept on the road by a really good Tennessee ball club. So that's going to be quite the challenge going over to Bluebell Park tomorrow night. Then it's up to Stillwater. The argument can be made that the 2 most difficult series for Texas in Big 12 play are the first 2. Tech at home, Oklahoma State on the road. They still have to go to Fort Worth later in the year and play at TCU. So there's still challenges to come on down the road. Somebody asked on the Specs text line, I wonder who might start Tuesday night against the Aggies. I think it's going to be a bullpen game. It has been in the past. I think it probably will be again. It could be LeBaron Johnson starting for 2-3 innings, depending on he pitched on Saturday but didn't pitch yesterday. Did a little bit out of the pen on Saturday, so it's possible. Our man in Belton asked, when did Barfield start doing Texas baseball games? Been hearing him for a while, but always heard him on the Waco station since I live in Belton. He's fun to listen to and get so excited. He's been helping us, I think, 4 years now, and just has been really good, a good plug-in compliment to our broadcast when I can't be there due to the overlap with men's and women's basketball, and Roger, who did Friday and Saturday's game, and Roger wasn't available Sunday, and Tom has helped us out a lot during this on the run by the men's and women's basketball teams, and we appreciate that. I think he's scheduled to do another game with us later on this season, so thanks to him for helping us out. All right, up next, we'll get to Inconceivable. Let me get to a couple other texts, because I promised you I would do that. Somebody said I could see that call talking about the Brock Cunningham foul go either way. Yeah, or say if you can see that call go either way, Craig, then I'll temper my rage a little. A great season for the team. Yeah, I could see it going either way. I get it. It's difficult from a Texas perspective, but I could see that absolutely. I took issue with the person who said it was a dirty play. It wasn't a dirty play. It was a foul for sure. The way it was called. If you're gonna you're going to make the call against Brock Cunningham, you call a foul, but not a dirty play. Somebody says, is there audio available you getting run over by the Miami player? If so, I think you need to add some bleeps to it for the unnecessary censorship of Craig Way. We'll try to find, if we can, maybe I can get it to Rod and Harge and Patrick and let them work their magic on it, because Rod likes to do that unnecessary censorship of my calls that make it sound like I'm cursing full-blown blue language when, in fact, that's not the case at all. But a well-placed bleep out here and there can make it's amazing what your mind can do with it. And I've always got a big kick out of it. I thought it was pretty funny as well. Somebody else said Brock was blocking out exactly as taught, especially against a bigger player. If O'Meara was going straight up and not up over in the back, the rest of the play likely doesn't unfold the way that it did. And that's why I say there's folks who are going to look at it differently. Somebody else said it seems like a 50-50 call, certainly not dirty. And someone else saying refs just called it tighter in the second half. Texas had a chance to end it. The scoring drought was brutal. Hell of a season, though, with or without all of the drama this season. So anyway, so there's some other ones. Someone else I can see the call going either way, but my problem is the call being overturned. And again, I don't know that it was completely overturned. The official's arm came up one, and then the other one came from the other side. And I don't know if you could see that as well. It wasn't, hey, this was definitely the call. No, I had it this way. Okay, we're going to overturn it. I don't think it's that. They came together pretty quickly to discuss which official had one call and which official had the other call. And they decided to go with Brent Hampton's call on that. So there you go. All right. Up next, we'll bring you this morning's edition of Inconceivable when we continue with Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9 AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. Hey, want to remind you about Divided Sky Roofing and Solar. If, because of the spring storms, you may have sustained some roof damage, you can trust John Hardy to give you an honest assessment. And if you do have some damage, it's possible you could get a new roof with those Timberline Solar shingles. Now, maybe you checked into solar in the past and said, it's beyond my price range, just can't afford it. The fact is, solar has come down significantly over the past few years, even as energy costs have gone up. And all solar products are eligible for a 30% tax credit with no money down and as little as $100 per month. With solar shingles, you basically own your own power. You pay yourself each month, not the power company. And it's just a 15-minute phone call with Divided Sky, or even one of those virtual online appointments where you can get all the information you need on a new roof with solar shingles. Check them out on the web at dividedskyaustin.com. Give them a call at 512-995-ROOF. TEC license number 37397. Here's what we got for you on Inconceivable. First of all, a couple of airborne-oriented things. Southwest flight was on its way from Las Vegas to, I want to make sure I got this right. Well, it doesn't say where it was going. Yeah, it is. I guess Columbus, Ohio. But Southwest Airlines had just taken off from, this happened late last week. I had just taken off from Las Vegas, and they were in the air, and one of the pilots required medical attention. So there were recordings, obviously, and it said a member of the flight crew can be heard saying the pilot had stomach pain before they fainted or became incapacitated. So the pilot came back after about a minute, someone says in the archive recording, and went to the back of the plane and was treated. So who's flying the plane? Fortunately, a credentialed pilot from another airline just happened to be a passenger on the plane. And so he goes, well, let me go in there. So that pilot entered the flight deck, and he helped with the radio communication while the second Southwest pilot flew the plane back to Las Vegas. The flight was on its way to Columbus, Ohio, ended up landing about 8 o'clock in the morning. Boy, you talk about a red-eye flight. Woo! After landing in Las Vegas, an alternate crew reportedly flew to Columbus. No update immediately given on the pilot's condition or the medical issue. The airline representative added, quote, "We commend the crew for their professionalism and appreciate our customers' patience and understanding regarding the situation." Pilots are trained to fly solo in cases like these. Had the off-duty pilot not been aboard the Southwest flight, a flight attendant could have stepped into the flight deck to assist.
Craig, we actually have some audio from that flight here.
Oh, yeah? Let's hear this.
I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, it's happened. But fortunately, there was just a pilot from another airline on there. I wonder if he had to check with he's a dude with Delta and say, "Hey, is it okay for me to hop on board here and
fly this? Yeah, does he get paid for that?
Yeah. Am I going to get a little bonus? And who's doing the paying on this?" Speaking of Delta, Saturday night, they're going down or up the coast from Los Angeles to Seattle. And plane taxis, pulls back from the gate, or as they say, the pushback from the gate. They're getting ready to taxi out. And then one of the passengers decided, yeah, I'm not for this flight. I need to get off this flight. But instead of saying that, which I don't know what kind of ruckus it would have caused, the passenger simply opened one of the plane's doors and slid down the slide. Pulled it out, slide goes down, whoop. So Delta Flight 1714 took place about 10:40 in the morning local time. This was on Saturday, while the plane was stationary at L.A. International. So they had not quite pushed back yet. They were, it said prepared for takeoff. Boeing 737. Wrong. They had stopped. They were on the runway, holding to taxi for takeoff when the passenger exited the aircraft after activating the emergency exit slide. Sorry, I got a thing. Passenger was detained by the Delta staff and then arrested by local law enforcement. The FAA said, quote, "Customers are being reaccommodated on the new aircraft, and we apologize for the inconvenience and delay in their travel plans." So,
want to hear why they had to leave so briskly?
Yeah. Did he leave the water running on in the kitchen or something?
What airport was it? Did it say?
LAX. And they're going to Seattle. And they pushed back from the gate, rolled out to the runway, and were in a pause moment there, like you would be at a major airport, waiting, whatever, third in line, fourth in line, whatever it is, take off. And the guy decides, not for me. Let's just pull out the door and roll down the emergency slide. You're going to have to explain that to the judge on that. Saw some viral video of a college baseball game that happened over the weekend. Austin Peay was playing Liberty. Did you hear about this game?
I did not.
Okay. Liberty's up 8-5 in the third inning. Not exactly your garden variety pitchers duel. And Roland Fanning is the first-year head coach at Austin Peay. He got pretty upset with the way it was being called. First of all, the Liberty pitcher, Nathan Keeter, hit a home run in the first inning, and then he celebrated toward the Austin Peay dugout. So there's some of that going on. So that caught the ire of Coach Fanning and the governors from Austin Peay. So then he comes up for his next at bat, and they throw right at him. And he's almost hit by the pitch. Umpires got together very quickly and decided it was deliberate. Pitcher, catcher, head coach, all, you're out of here.
Wow.
So they eject him. So he comes out to argue it with the umpire, and he goes, oh, hold on, wait a second. I'm thirsty here. He goes back and gets a 2-liter bottle of Mountain Dew, and he's standing there arguing with, hold on a second, and I'm all hopped up on Mountain Dew. So, yeah, he's just chugging a 2-liter bottle of Mountain Dew while he's arguing with the umpire.
Yeah, in between F-bombs with the umpire, he's just taking swigs out of the Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
That's a 2-liter bottle, too. It's not like a little cup.
No,
It's,
I mean, he is killing it. And he pulls it down. He's probably saying, look, did you see how that guy was showing up our dugout after he hit a home run? I'm like, yeah, I also saw how you instructed your pitcher to throw at him, too. So, yeah, you gave the signal to the catcher. The catcher tells the pitcher to throw, so you're all three culpable. Therefore, you're all out of here. Hold on. Let me finish my Mountain Dew. So, it's classic. Finally, we have an update on Ralphie the Demon Dog. Remember we had this story 2-3 weeks ago about this dog that had been returned not once, not twice, but thrice. 3 times returned to a shelter.
Is this Lady Gaga's dog or a different dog?
No.
Okay.
This is a French bulldog, and he had been returned 3 times because they called him. The New York Animal Shelter described him as a fire-breathing demon. They talked about because he specifically that the shelter specified that Ralphie should go to a family without other dogs. They said through training, he might be able to get over his reactivity around other dogs. Also, bit of a biter, aggressive. Well, now he has a new home. 3rd time, actually make it the 4th time the charm for Ralphie. Made headlines after that deal, but the Niagara SPCA said in a Facebook post on Friday that they received more than 700 applications to adopt the adorable.
700?
700 applications to adopt the adorable but troublesome French bulldog. They finally honed in on Ralphie's perfect adopter, a man named Jason, who wears Halloween masks. No. A man named Jason, who trains dogs professionally for the Department of Energy in Tennessee. And this guy's got a pack of other dogs. There's another French bulldog, a dachshund, a German shepherd. The shelter originally specified Ralphie should go to a family without other dogs, but they said through training he'd be able to get past all of that and that Jason would provide him with structure and give him an outlet for all that Frenchy energy, wrote the shelter. He dedicates his life to dogs, and that's what makes him a perfect match for Ralphie. He's described as a unicorn adopter. Someone on the Specs text line says, it's because he's not English, the French bulldog. No. Ralphie has a new home, and we're all glad for him for that. All right, 2nd hour. We're already into it now, but we'll continue. More on the end of the Longhorn basketball team. Looks like the contract deal is going to be done for Rodney Terry. Should have an announcement probably in the next day or so that he'll be offered the job full-time at the University of Texas. Good news there. We'll talk some other topics as well coming up here in this second hour of Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital right here on your Horn app and at hornfm.com. This is Light the Tower on the Horn. Craig Way with you. Jeff Howe will be back tomorrow. He is in the air as we speak, or soon to be wheels up anyway, as he heads back. In fact, I think he is already in the air headed. But anyway, he's on his way back here to the greater Austin area, and he will be back in-house with us tomorrow. Longhorn football team, of course, going back to work with practices, and got a chance to visit with Steve Sarkisian yesterday. Sark went up to Kansas City for the basketball game. So he was hanging out in the tunnel area right before you go out to the court side, and he was just chatting with Dennis Dodd from CBS Sports. Dennis has been covering the Big 12 a long time, and came over, and he was like, look who's here. Came up and chatted, and I asked him how the clinic went. Said they had a great time. Really enjoyed Kyle Shanahan coming in to speak. And, of course, he has that relationship with Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, and help me, the Dolphins coach who was off LaFleur's
Mike
staff.
McDaniels?
Yes. He describes how they are in terms of their offensive philosophy as being like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
Last May, when Sark and CDC and Vic Schaefer and I went down, and Chris Beard, we went down to Houston, and it was that tour where they're visiting with the alumni, and when we were all down there, Sark, when we got done in Houston, was coming back, and he was getting ready to take off the next day to go to California and meet with Sean McVay, and then he was going to go up to San Francisco and meet with Kyle Shanahan. And then later he was going to meet with Matt LaFleur and Mike McDaniel. So he was going to meet with those guys. He said we're all kind of on the same page, a lot of what we do offensively and the way they think and the theory that they have, offensive theories for football and things of that nature. But I said, I remember last May you went out to California visit. He goes, yeah. I said, was that when you asked Shanahan? He goes, it was. He said that's when he asked Kyle Shanahan if he would come and speak at the clinic. So we did. So had a visit with him.
I love to be in those meetings just as a football fan, just to see it's like the Belichick, Nick Saban HBO doc that came out a few years ago. It's like, man, it's just the football IQ in that room is unmatched.
Yeah. Cleanup from hour number 1 on the Specs text line. Somebody said, Cunningham knew exactly what he was doing, just saying. Didn't say he didn't know what he was doing. And he was moving back to position himself for rebounding. And I do agree with those who say, hey, you can call the foul on him as well as you could on Norchad Omier. I had no argument with that. It's a tough call to happen with a minute to go in the game against you, and he's coming over his back as he backpedals, so they go into one another. So I don't have a disagreement with how it could be called. Somebody else said I could see both guys fouling, yeah. But for somebody earlier to think or to text that it was a dirty play or whatever, that's where I'm definitely going to disagree with you. That it's not. He's trying to get a rebound in the moment and working game at a minute to go in the basketball game. So that was part of it as well. So
Brock's also, that's what he's on his entire career at Texas. You know, he's a hard player. He hustles a lot, and he can box out.
Brock was on with us out at Pluckers. I'd say pretty late in the season. And on Longhorn Weekly. And I asked him point blank, we got into the topic of, playing hard-nosed basketball and, the fouls and stuff and over the years and things like that. And I said, have you ever had an official tell you that they were watching you? And he said, yes. And I've told them I'm watching you too. It's the way he said he knows. That's how it's been, but so that's why I said I don't have a big substantive problem of him being called for the foul. It's a tough call to make, and it looked as though the original call was going to be against Omier and not on Cunningham. So you're thinking both teams were in the double bonus. It would have been the fifth foul on Omier. I mean, I've got my broadcast chart here. Some of it's kind of smeared there because of the water that got
I noticed that
spilled on that.
I thought maybe it was your sweat from the game.
No, it wasn't that. That was the water that got spilled. I'm showing it there for anybody that's watching it on Twitch or on our YouTube channel. But looking at his numbers for Omier, yeah, he had 4 fouls. It would have been the fifth foul. They would have been walking the other way with a minute to go in the game, and it would have been Brock Cunningham on the line, who, by the way, went 11 for 11 from the free throw line in Big 12 Conference play. He did miss one free throw against Xavier, which was like shocking to all of us there that he missed one free throw in the win over Xavier. It's the only free throw he had missed since December. It was the first free throw he had missed since December because he was perfect in Big 12 play. But it wasn't to be. The foul was on Cunningham. And to Omier's credit, he knocked down both free throws. This was the team we said at the top of the broadcast, you don't want to put him on the free throw line because as a team, they shot 78%. Longhorns no slouches themselves, 75% for the year. And in conference play, they shot 78%. But Miami as a team overall was shooting 78%, so you didn't want to put them on the foul line, especially late in the ball game.
They were 25 for 27 in the second half. Is that correct?
Yeah. And they did not have a field goal in the last 4 minutes and 40 seconds. It was all from the foul line. And the Longhorns obviously had difficulty defending. Rodney Terry was asked about it in the postgame, and he said guys got downhill on him. And it was difficult we always talk about defending without fouling and how important it is. Anyway, that's the situation there with that one, and that's unfortunate there. So the season ends. The Longhorns finish at 29-9, their third most wins in a season in school history, and of course all the reports and Orange 24/7 reporting that the deal was imminent, that it was going to get done. He was going to be named that Rodney Terry would be named the quote-unquote permanent head coach, in as much as permanency can ever be extended to a head coach in any sport at any level, right? But will be the full time, the interim tag removed from being named head coach at the University of Texas. That it's imminent. I will be honest with you. I won't necessarily say. No, I won't say. I won't say that I had any sort of quote-unquote inside information or anything like that. But I had a really good feeling all along that this was how it was ultimately going to wind up. And, I look at a lot of the activity on social media and folks are, this has got to get done! What are they doing? And I just wanted to say, relax.
I'm glad we're done with that storyline.
What's that?
I said I'm glad we're done with that storyline.
Yeah.
Because if Texas wins, then today would have been about, how come they haven't still made him the permanent head coach yet? We're in the Final Four. It's like now we can just move on to next season.
Yeah. And again, remember that if you'll go back and look at the statement and release when Texas made the move to move on from Chris Beard, and at the time removed acting head coach, the tag for Rodney Terry, and put interim head coach on there. That was a step. Also, later on in the year, he got a salary bump to $1.9 million. I mean, the signs were all there that this was going to get done. But in the same vein, the conversation was, going back to the release, that the formal announcement, the evaluation would happen at the end of the season. And so they did not just CDC, but athletic department and administration, those who are in the decision-making process on this, stayed to their word. They did not, whatever, jump the gun on this or that or whatever. They just kind of followed that was set. So he said the standard is set, Elite Eight or further from this season on. Well, I hope so. I mean, it was the first time they got in the Elite Eight in 15 years. And maybe they can make it a habit. Now, there. So,
and I don't think you would have thought that after that 2008 Elite Eight that Texas would not be back for 15 years.
I know I didn't. Think about this. By the time at the end, I thought about this yesterday, and Eddie Orr and I were talking about this off the air, and I think David Garrett, our engineer, and I were talking about this. When the 2008 season ended, it marked the ending of a point where Texas went to 5 Sweet 16s, 3 Elite Eights, and a Final Four in a 7-year span. Think about that for a moment. 5 Sweet 16s in 01-02, my first season on the play-by-play. 01-02, 02-03 was a Final Four year. 03-04, 3 straight Sweet 16s, so you had 3 straight Sweet 16s and a Final Four tucked in there. Then after a first-round exit in 05, Elite Eight in 06, and they had a second-round exit in 07, and then Elite Eight in 08. So in 7 seasons, 5 Sweet 16s, 3 Elite Eights, and a Final Four. So I think all of us had probably not only had gotten used and accustomed to it, maybe took it for granted. I don't know. But it fell off after that. It was second round in 2009, a tough loss to Duke in Greensboro in the second round. 2010, that overtime loss, heartbreaking to Wake Forest in New Orleans. 2011, second round loss when you want to talk about officiating, Richard Cartmell's 5-second count. It's funny, Sean Miller was the head coach, of course, of Arizona at that time, and of course he was the head coach at Xavier the other night when Texas went. And on the day before Texas played Xavier on Thursday, Sean Miller had finished his formal news conference and was standing out in the hallway and doing, reporters had gathered around. And I think it was Bob Ballou at KI who asked him, said, "Hey, look, I know you, none of those games you've never lost to Texas as an assistant at Xavier in 04, head coach in 11 at Arizona. I know none of that means anything to you now, but do you have any recollection?" He goes, "Yeah, in 2011 it was a great ball game." He said, Sean Miller said this. He goes, "There was a 5-second count," and everybody kind of looked at me and went, "I thought it was the right call," and everybody kind of laughed. Everybody knew it wasn't the right call. You can go back and see the video. You see Richard Cartmell go 1, 2, 3, and then he goes 4, 5 real quick. And nobody could believe it. Rick Barnes couldn't believe it, and all I said was, and Richard Cartmell used to go by Dick Cartmell for a long time, years. And then he went to Richard Cartmell. So all I said was afterwards, so he made the call. I said, "Thanks, Dick." And that was the deal. That was the call back then. But so that happened in 2012. Then they had the drop-off season in 13 where they didn't make the NCAA tournament. The one time under Rick Barnes where they missed the tournament entirely, went to the CBI and got beat on a tip-in at the buzzer against Houston. If Houston had beaten Miami on Friday, the game would have been Texas against Houston, as we know yesterday. It would have been their first meeting since that CBI first-round game at what was still called Hofheinz Pavilion, not the Fertitta Center, since then. And Houston won that game on that. They came back in 14, got to the second round, lost to Michigan with Karis LeVert. I think it went to the Final Four or went to the championship game against UConn that year. Then in 15, lost in the first round to to Butler. And that was it for Rick Barnes. And we know they lost on the half-court shot under Shaka Smart in 16. Didn't go in 17, lost to Nevada in overtime at 18. Missed the tournament in 19, won the NIT that year. No tournament in 20 due to the pandemic. And then, of course, in 21, the 14-3 loss to Abilene Christian. So, been a long time. 15 years since going to the Sweet 16/Elite Eight. And they did there. So that's why somebody says the standard's set. Elite Eight or further. And somebody else said sources, Rodney Terry, finalizing a deal to be the next head coach of Texas. Press conference expected this week, I'm sure. That's from John Rothstein of CBS. And again, Horns 24/7 reporting it last night. And so it's, getting there. So anyway, so there's some of that. Some other folks weighing in on the foul. Somebody said, as some think they can coach or quarterback, others think they're an AD. Understand that. CB pointed out, remember in 2008, Texas lost to an ineligible player in Derrick Rose in Memphis in the Elite Eight. When Memphis vacated all those wins they had to, got to the championship game and lost to Kansas in overtime. CB, by the way, had commented on a tweet last night. There was a photo that our good friend Cedric Golden of the Austin American-Statesman had tweeted. Our seats were beside each other on press row. So he was like, hey, Gray Way. Calls me Gray Way, because of that whole deal with the Oral Roberts coach. And I was, in fact, wearing gray yesterday. I had a gray sweater and gray slacks. And I said to him, hey, Gray Way to him. We were like, and so he said, hey, Gray, let's get a picture. So he tweeted out a picture sitting next to me. And CB tweeted in a question. He goes, where's John Madani? John Madani works for ESPN Radio. So ESPN Radio doesn't broadcast the NCAA tournament. Westwood One broadcast the NCAA tournament. So there you go. One other question for the break. Female listener 17 says, what's your theory for the tournament drought after 2008? Drought being relative. I think it was a variety of things. That unfortunate whirlpool that happens of one and dones. You think about the guys who are coming in, we're staying 1 year or 2 years max. So I think that was part of it as well.
Andrew Jones.
Andrew Jones' illness was big. Even on the tail end of the Rick Barnes thing, there were some one and done things, and then they just missed on some recruits. No doubt, all programs do. Happened when Shaka was there. He mentioned Andrew Jones, the illness there, the one and dones there. Jared Allen, great one season and then gone. Mo Bamba, a great one season and then gone. The one and done trend had started really with Kevin Durant. I mean, TJ Ford stayed 2 seasons, and then he was gone after the final 40-year National Player of the Year and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, Katie's class, because you had Michael Beasley, O.J. Mayo, all those guys are just one and dones.
Exactly. So I think that was part of it. I think there was a lot of things that led to it. All right, we need a break. When we come back, we've got a Flex 30 update, and this hour's Longhorn Notebook will update that college baseball poll. Guess who's back in the rankings? And in fact, in the rankings for the first time this season. This is Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. Hey, I want to take the opportunity, certainly, to remind you now that we're into the springtime and we're beyond the winter months and understanding, of course, the winter months can help us, well, let's just say, not take as good a care of ourselves as we want to. And we might let ourselves go a little bit. Well, that's where our friends at Total Men's Primary Care can help. If you've been, tipping that weight scale in the 250 to 300 pound range and you want some help, they can help you with some diet, with some medication, and some coaching, all of those things to help you. Maybe also you've got a low T issue. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy. It can raise your cholesterol and cause weight gain as well. Well, Total Men's Primary Care specializes in treating men with low testosterone as well. They have a testosterone evaluation in as much as they can help you with weight loss and fitness and health. You don't have to take my word for it. Schedule an appointment online at TotalMens.com. Click on that yellow button and then make an appointment for yourself or a family member and who can be seen that same day at any of their 20-plus Austin area clinics. See for yourself how Total Men's is redefining the men's health game. Check them out on the web at TotalMens.com. Total Men's Primary Care, the doctor's office just for men. Well, in addition to everything else, Longhorn basketball, Texas baseball with a sweep of Texas Tech, Texas softball, as we mentioned earlier, with a sweep of Texas Tech, the Dell Match Play, NASCAR at COTA. In addition to all of that, there was high school activity, baseball, playoff soccer, all of that. Cam Parker was keeping a close eye on that as we bring you the Flex 30 update.
Yeah, the by-district round of the girls and boys playoff rounds kicked off last week, and a good week for both Round Rock and Dripping Springs, Craig. Dripping Springs, a 9-0 victory over Reagan. They advancing to the area round along with the Round Rock Dragons.
Did you say Reagan? You meant northeast, right?
I believe it's San Antonio Reagan.
Oh, San Antonio Reagan. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
So
okay.
2 good wins for Round Rock. Drip went to the boys went to the state championship last year. The girls have been before.
Mm-hmm.
That's a team that I would not want to face. Dripping Springs will play Cibolo Steel next week. Round Rock, San Antonio Lee. Lake Travis, the girls lost to Westwood 1-0. The boys, however, did beat Vandergrift 2-1. They'll play San Antonio Johnson next week in the area round. And the Vandergrift girls, they knocked off Buda Johnson. They'll play San Antonio Johnson next week. Stony Point boys beat Bowie. They'll play Brandeis. And then some 5A scores. Leander, Georgetown, both girls and boys winning their by-district matchups. And then Bastrop, McCallum, Hendrickson girls all advancing. And then Rouse. And how about Northeast Early College High School, Craig, advancing for the boys as well?
That's where I was going with that about Northeast. So good for those Raiders on that as well. All right, so there you are. There is your Flex 30. Wait, and you said baseball, right? Yeah, I mean, that Round Rock Stony Point game, right?
Yeah,
Good
Round
fun.
Rock, a good victory for them. They improved to now 5-0 in district play. So out of the top Centex schools, Round Rock, Westlake, Georgetown, they're still all undefeated in district play and look like they're going to be the top teams to meet. So I'm excited to see what the playoffs may shake out. But
yeah,
Round Rock looks just unstoppable. I'm excited to see them face Vandergrift because Vandergrift's got a really good baseball team as well.
Going to be a lot of fun. All right, so there it is, your Flex 30 update. Time now for a Longhorn Notebook. And the Longhorn Notebook for this hour is basically just to update you on the top 25, the brand new D1 baseball. Top 25 is out. Our man CB, eager to play spoiler, says Texas is ranked, A&M is unranked. That is true, but here are the rankings. The top 4 remain the same. LSU, Wake Forest is number 2. Wake Forest, 22-3. They're number 2. Florida is 3rd, and Vanderbilt is 4th. Then Virginia up 3 spots to number 5. Arkansas dropped a spot to number 6. Stanford picked up 2 positions up to number 7. East Carolina up 2 spots to number 8. South Carolina up a couple of spots to number 9. Gamecocks are 23-2. Tennessee moved back up 2 spots from 12 to 10. Remember the Volunteers at one time had been number 1. They got swept by Missouri, dropped to number 12, and then swept Texas A&M over the weekend, and that pushed them 2 spots back up to number 10. Second 10 begins with Louisville, which had a tough weekend, went 2-2 and dropped 5 spots from 6 to 11. Same thing with UCLA, went 1-2 and dropped 5 spots from 7 to 12. North Carolina, it went up 2 spots from 15 to 13. That included winning a series over Duke over the weekend. Boston College up a couple of positions. ACC strong this year. They're number 14. Campbell, that's the Camels of Campbell University from Bowie's Creek, North Carolina. They're between Raleigh and Fayetteville, just north of Fayetteville. Campbell is up 3 spots. They're 19-3, up from 18 to 15. Did you know? I know you're a North Carolina native like I am. Did you know that Campbell was the site and still has, but was the original college basketball coaching camp? That's where John Wooden was for years.
Wow.
Eddie Orr went to that camp originally, so it's something else. Campbell, number 15. Florida Gulf Coast, up 3 spots to 16. Oklahoma State, up 3 spots. They had dropped to 20 from 13 after dropping 2 out of 3 in Lubbock to Texas Tech. Back up 3 places as the Cowboys swept Baylor over the weekend. That's where Texas has to go this weekend to take on the Cowboys, who are 20-5. They had a perfect 4-0 week. They beat Wichita State pretty handily, then swept the 3. They spotted Baylor a 7-0 lead on Friday night and came back and won that contest. and then beat Baylor on Saturday and Sunday. So Oklahoma State will be the next conference opponent for Texas. That's up at O'Brate Stadium in Stillwater. Big series coming this weekend. They're 17. Kentucky up to 18 from number 23. Coastal Carolina won the series from Texas State over the weekend. They split the doubleheader on Saturday, and Coastal won, I think, 19-0 on Friday. So Coastal was not ranked in the poll at number 19. Connecticut, UConn can play baseball as well. They're number 20. And then you have the Longhorns in the poll for the first time this season. They were unranked, and then, of course, had the difficult start, started 4-7. Now they won 14 in a row and had a 4-0 week, clearly. And so they're number 21, Texas Tech, which had been 14, got swept by Texas. And they didn't play a midweek game. I thought was kind of odd as well. And they go 0-3 in the week, and the Red Raiders drop 8 spots from number 14 to number 22. Number 23 is Miami. Hurricanes are having a good athletic year, well, at least with the basketball and the baseball. And, the women's basketball got to the Elite Eight before they lost to
Kim
Mulkey in her BOA jacket. And LSU, somebody asked what I thought about that. Colorful. As Chad Hastings often said of her when she was coaching Baylor, Kim has the spring line out now, that kind of thing. But there was a soundbite that Bucky and Aaron played. We'll see if we can find that. It's pretty humorous because her players are talking about it in the news conference, and she blames her sponsor for it, her wardrobe person for that. West Virginia stayed at number 24, and Iowa in the poll at number 25. Ole Miss dropped out. Texas A&M dropped out. Missouri dropped out. Grand Canyon dropped out. So there it is, your D1 baseball top 25 rankings. Number 21, Texas, going into tomorrow night's game in College Station. Okay, before we break, so you do have this. LSU, in its second season under Kim Mulkey, is going to the women's Final Four in Dallas. But everybody was talking about her outfit, that jacket with the kind of pink boa look, feathery look down the sleeves. And so her players were asked about it in the news conference, and you knew Kim was going to jump in and add some commentary on it as well.
What did you think of her outfit tonight?
Oh, we already told her this probably her best fit,
This is one of her best ones. She always comes. I mean, the whole staff be coming trim. They all fly, so nobody be lacking. They always try to outdo each other, so. She don't pick these outfits, trust me.
I do not go pick these things out. New Brent is the name of the stylist, and she's shipping another one when she saw we won tonight. Most of the time I wear Queen of Sparkles. Look, we're from Louisiana. We like sparkles, we like diamonds, we like Mardi Gras, we like to eat, and we like to party. So I'm filling the bill for my home state.
There it is. Queen of Sparkles. Or is she like, we like sparkly things. Queen of Sparkles. She's all of that. Now she got a team into the Final Four. 2 more slots on the women's Final Four to be filled tonight in Greenville and Seattle in the regional there. By the way, in case you were wondering, it was Iowa that won that Seattle 4 regional that Texas was in. After Louisville beat Texas, Louisville defeated Ole Miss on Friday in the Sweet 16. And in Iowa, with what's got to be the National Player of the Year, Caitlin Clark.
First player in NCAA history to have a 30-point triple-double in both men's and women's basketball.
Yeah. And she had what, 41 points, I think, in that. So, yeah. It'd be interesting to see if how they would do in a matchup with South Carolina on that. If they were, because I still think South Carolina is still the team to beat. Obviously, they're unbeaten. We'll see how that goes on that. All right. We'll be back to wrap up today's edition of Light the Tower here on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com.
You know, whether you've been watching college basketball, you've been watching the NBA, whatever your sport of choice that you've watched in the month of March, you've had a chance to ask yourself, is this home entertainment set up really the way I want it? And if it's not, don't waste any more time. Get in touch with Tom McKay at Audio Visual Consultations. 512-255-8678. That's 255-8678. Make that call like I did. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm probably going to watch Cocaine Bear tonight if I'm not watching that NIT game or the World Baseball Classic. I'll be watching it on my 75-inch LG TV. It'll come in crystal clear sound with that Sonos sound system. AV Consultations keeps the latest smart TVs and Sonos audio in stock. They're not raising prices like everyone else, so don't think you're going to go to one of those big box stores and piece everything out and get a better deal than what you'll get with AV Consultations, because you won't. Not only can they put together a project that makes sense for the budget you've got in mind, it's a project that makes sense for the amount of space you've got in your house. So whether you want that same setup like I've got, they can definitely make that happen. Maybe you need something smaller, they can make that happen too. Or, man, if you want that full tilt home theater experience, that screen that's 150 inches, they can definitely do that for you. Don't hesitate. Call right now. Call AV Consultations, 512-255-8678. That's 255-8678. Make that call today and let Tom McKay at Audio Visual Consultations help you realize the home entertainment setup of your dreams.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's program. And I want to thank everybody participating. Our friend Pastor Smasher said, hey, can that soundbite be a soundbite? The Queen of Sparkle? And Stoner says, there's a problem. Vic needs a wardrobe style. Actually, Vic's pretty smartly dressed when he's out there. And Jeff Mudd said, I thought LSU was being coached by 1974 Elton John. Great line. See what you did there, Jeff. All right. We're done for today's program. Stay tuned. Chad and Zay are up next. We'll be with you tomorrow before heading over to the Brazos Valley for baseball. Texas against Texas A&M. We'll have a preview of that tomorrow. Stay tuned. Chad and Zay are up next. Jeff will be back tomorrow as well. We'll visit with you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock right here on Light the Tower.